Hello, welcome back to the PLSQL tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss about two problems, and then while solving those two problems, we'll learn about functions for trapping exceptions. Okay, so the key things that we're going to learn out of this tutorial is what kind of functions that we use to trap exceptions. Okay, so let's take a look at this piece of code. What we are showing you here is that in the begin block we write some statements, and then we anticipate what kind of problem that can occur. For example, in line number 6, one of our anticipation is that the number is num2 is a variable of number that is that that can contain up to 2 precision. That means in num2 I can have any values between 0 to 99. Okay, but in line number 6 I am assigning num2 a greater value than 99. So therefore it is going to give me an error called value error. Okay, then in line number 7 I am trying to assign num1, which is a number variable. I am trying to assign a character. So here is again I might anticipate that I'm going to have a value error. In line number 8 I have not yet opened the cursor, but I'm trying to close the cursor. Therefore it is going to give me some invalid cursor error, right? Well, so these are things that I can anticipate, but it may happen that there are some kind of error, some kind of exception that can occur which I may not able to anticipate. In that case, how do I handle? I write a generic handler called when others, right? So basically, if we do not find any anticipated exception handler, then what is going to happen? It is going to go to the default handler called when others, and going to be and this line is going to be executed, and then still we could able to exit gracefully from this program. But is not it a good idea to know what kind of error, what kind of error code or what kind of error message is happening when we are not able to handle that exception, right? Because if I know that, then what I can do, I can modify this program unit so that I can have, say for example, there is an error occur here in line number 8. So let's say that is something called x. Okay, but I do not have any exception handler for that error x, right? So therefore it's going to go to when others. But Oracle implicitly knows, if there is an error occur, so therefore it's going to go to when others, right? But what is the error code and error message? If I know that, if somehow that error code and error message is propagated to the user, to the caller of the program, then maybe he can go on and modify this program to make that happen. Okay, so that is the exactly reason why Oracle gives you two error trapping functions. Error trapping functions. Number one is SQL code. So what does it happen? Like let's try to understand this piece of code. So at line number 7 I am trying to assign a value which is greater than the value that it can contain. That means num2, sorry, so I have declared a num2 as number, let's say it's 2, right? So basically num2 can contain anything from up to 99, but I'm trying to assign a value that is more than that. So therefore a value error will occur, assuming that I do not know what is that error code and all this thing. In that case I just wrote only one exception handler called when others, and inside that I have defined two variables, one is number, one is varchar. So in that error underscore code I assign what is the value of SQL code. Okay, so what happens whenever an error occurs? The error message and error code is stored in the PL/SQL runtime engine. What Oracle has given you two more functions. One is called SQL code. You just write like this. You don't have to give anything like brackets and all this. Just write simply SQL code the way that I have written. This SQL code is going to return me the error code associated with this error. Similarly, SQL ERRM is going to give me the message that is associated with this error code. So if I able to trap this error code and error message, then what I can do, I can print this error code and error message to the end user. So that, let's say that error code is 1593. Okay, so if the end user knows this error code 1593, then what he can do, he can basically go and then check the Oracle server documentation, PL/SQL documentation, and find out if there is a predefined exception exists for this error code 1593. If it exists, then just he needs to write an handler. If that error code does not exist in the predefined exception list, then using pragma init exception, what I can do, I can declare a exception, and then I associate that exception to this 1593 error code, and then I'll write, let's say I associate that exception, let's say my exception name is X, then I associate using pragma init exception that X exception to this error code 1593, and then I'm going to write an handler called when X then something. So in that case, what happened is that I'm going to make sure that whatever program I write, if I do not handle the error properly, but while testing this piece of code or during even production cycle, if I check the error code and error message what is coming, because because in it always go to when others, like whatever it if there is an error, if it is not, exception is not handled, then it's going to go to when others, and then I can come to know what is my error code and error message which is not handled, then I can handle it properly. So that is the reason why we have two functions called SQL code and SQL ERRM given by Oracle. Okay, and so that's what all about this problem number one. Then we have another problem. So let's take a look at this piece of code. In this piece of code, we are raising a user defined exception called e underscore high underscore sal. Well, so if you are raising an exception, and then in the line number 16 we are handling that exception, and then we are basically printing to the output that salary is already high. So let's say assume this program unit is called by another user, or somebody is running this thing. So what this user is expecting, either we will update the salary, right? So basically this user is going to give one employee number and increment, and then whatever employee number he has given, your program should do two things: either it will update successfully, or it will send him a error message saying that I cannot do that. Whatever we are doing here, we are just simply saying them that by handling this by handling this exception, we are just simply saying them that okay, we cannot, the salary is already high, we cannot update. But is not it a good idea that we can throw an error message and error code the way that Oracle is throwing whenever you are trying to insert to a primary key some duplicate value? Okay, so that time Oracle is not saying that okay, you can is giving you an error like some aura error and then some message. We can also simulate exactly same thing here using another procedure called raise application error. So raise application error is again a procedure given by Oracle to communicate a predefined exception interactively by returning a non-standard error code and error message. What does that mean? Whenever you are going to run this piece of code, if you are getting some kind of, if you are going to the exception condition, then return them some error code and error message, and that is achieved by writing a procedure called raise underscore application underscore error. It will take two parameters. The first parameter is called the error number, and error number you can choose anything from 20,000 to 20,999. Okay, so you can choose any number between this thing, and before 20,000 is reserved for Oracle's internal error code. Okay, so this is called user defined error code. You can give any error code starting from 20,000 to 20,999. And then second parameter is text is about an message. So exactly if you look at this message, we are basically sending this message before, but we are not sending any error code. But here by using reg underscore application error, we did two things. We send an error code and also an error message. And the most important thing what we have achieved here is that we can basically, if this is a PL/SQL function or procedure, then whenever somebody is called, he can either update or it will get a standard error code what is supported for Oracle internal PL/SQL procedure or functions. So that is why you use reg application error. Thank you.